I'm going to take Tyreek Hill over 93.5 receiving yards. This dude has been incredible in the playoffs. Also, the last time the Chiefs played the Bucs in the regular season, Tyreek Hill had 13 catches for 269 yards and 3 touchdowns. He absolutely torched them. And then, the 2 games this year, he's had 141 yards per game average, over 100 yards in both games. And he's their go-to guy other than Travis Kelce. Last year, Super Bowl, Tyreek Hill had 105 yards. I can see him hitting 100 yards again this year.
Absolutely. I am with it. My only concern, as it is with a lot of the receiver props, is the weather.
Yeah.
It's looking like thunderstorms, right?
Well, here's the way Tampa weather works. It'll rain all day, but it'll rain in just spurts. It'll rain for 10 minutes and then it'll stop for 45 minutes and then it'll rain for 20 minutes and then it'll, so I'm not overly concerned. I think the field will be wet. The ball will be a little wet, but like the rain part of it doesn't really scare me, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and it does make me wonder, given how we've seen Tom Brady's career play out thus far, it's only going to rain when the Chiefs have the ball.
Yeah.
So I have a 2-part prop.
Okay.
I have, in this regards to the Tampa Bay tight ends, I like, first of all, Rob Gronkowski over receptions. It is 2.5. I believe it's a small font here in my new setup. So 2.5, Rob Gronkowski. You see earlier in the year, I know he's blocking a bit more now, but he did have his best game of the season against the Chiefs. I think they do a poor job of defending tight ends in the passing game because they're set up to take away those vertical routes, and the weather's going to be taking away those vertical routes. So I think it sets up really well for a good Gronk game. And the other side of that coin, I've seen, you have to look for it, but there are lines out there for Cameron Brate with his receptions being 3.5, which is maybe the best value on the board right now.
That feels high to me.
Yeah, it does feel high. I think that might be based on how much I'm under on that one, my man Sam. That one is based on how Gronk's been used in the pass blocking game. That's how maybe they're going to kind of use him as a decoy in run sets, and that will actually open up Brate. But 3.5 is too much of a number. That goes through some other ideas I have for this game. So I like those 2 props regarding the Tampa Bay tight ends.
Love that. Yeah. And it's a Super Bowl. They're not going to get Gronk involved in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, Gronk. This is the Gronk game. We know Gronk loves playing in Tampa. If you watched WrestleMania last year, this is where he does his best work.
Leonard Fournette, over 3.5 receptions. I just can't get away from this guy, even though I did this exact bet in the NFC Championship game and he blew it. But he is the go-to guy now. He's getting roughly 70% of the snaps in this postseason. In the playoffs so far, 23, 22, and 17 touches, including 14 catches on 17 targets. So they're targeting him a lot. He cannot catch the ball. He's awful at catching, which makes this such a painful bet to make. But he's getting 6 targets a game. So if he just doesn't drop more than 2 of them, he'll hit the number.
He might, and the ball will be wet.
Yeah, and the ball might be wet.
And I see there's a lot of juice on this one, -40. Can I just take a second to talk about why there is a lot of juice on these prop bets, especially in the Super Bowl?
Oh, with any over bet, there's going to be juice.
Yeah, because we're betting. It's Friday. These lines have been out for 11 days, and there's going to be better value on the under for every bet at this point in gambling on the Super Bowl, because that line opened at probably -110 and it got bet up to -140.
Yep.
So, it's kind of like you're buying a stock. If everyone got there first, you won't have the same value. And that's why I advise shopping around on, a place where you can compare all the live line comparisons and then watch a 6'3", 215-pound hunk pontificate. Is there a place like that? Oh, yeah, the Props Network. Check out those. We got the best ways to shop around. So I'm going to go. I have another Tyreek Hill bet.
Okay.
Here. So we talk about the wet field. We talk about the weather, and I fear about that Bucs pass rush, but I do like Tyreek Hill over 26.5 yards on his longest reception. I think the wet grass is going to favor the fastest man in the NFL, and he will yield some advantages from that, from a admittedly pretty good Bucs secondary.
Yeah, I like that pick a lot. There's a lot of interesting options out there for longest reception. Like Mecole Hardman had one that was like 16.5. I looked at a lot. Yeah, these fast guys, we've seen it every single game. They're gonna break one loose. Even on the Bucs, like Scotty Miller, I think his longest reception band was only like 13.5 yards or something.
Yeah,
those are fun to look at.
Yeah, and when does Scotty Miller even run routes that are less than 13.5?
Yeah, exactly.
He's like the Bucs' biggest downfield threat in that offense.
Yeah, exactly. And those are fun to cheer for. Every time Mahomes or Brady drops back, you're like, oh, are they looking for Miller? Looking for Hardman?
Yeah.
I like that bet. This bet feels like a shoe-in. It's the Travis Kelce. I took the fantasy points over. 22.5 fantasy points.
Okay, so that's like 100 yards, 6 receptions, and a touchdown?
Yeah, I'm expecting more like 11 catches and 120 yards or something like that. Or not 11 catches, 75 yards, and a touchdown. Any iteration. That's why I like fantasy points, because you know he's going to get the catches. It's PPR, so you're getting a point per reception. He's probably going to get 10 catches, and then it's just a matter of yards and touchdowns. This season, he scored in 12 of the 17 games. He scored 3 touchdowns in the last 2 playoff games. He scored in 6 straight. He's a beast. He averaged in the regular season 21 PPR fantasy points. It was just below the number. But in the playoffs, he's averaged 25 and 37 fantasy points in the last 2 games. And the Bucs are terrible against tight ends. So, yeah, everyone's talking about this Travis Kelce number. It's probably inflated, but yeah, and I love it still.
And I think it's interesting. I'm kind of curious. I fully support your pick. I just want to wonder, when was the first time fantasy points were offered as a Super Bowl bet? This is the first time I've seen that line out there related to the big game. I think it's great. I imagine that on DraftKings and FanDuel, and those are the kind of companies that really made this a popular Super Bowl betting commodity. But that's a fun wrinkle.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, the player has to take a snap for bets to stand. But yeah, Sam's linking me the rules. It's just same fantasy rules as you know, 1 point per reception, 6 points per touchdown. And then if he fumbles, he loses points. But yeah, like you said, betting fantasy points, super fun way to do it.
This is my favorite bet in the entire Super Bowl. You can take either of these. You can take one of them. I am on both of these. I like Brady under pass attempts, 41.5. I like Mahomes under passing attempts, 41.5. Sorry, Brady's 40.5. Mahomes is 41.5. We know the weather's bad. We know that Leonard Fournette will be prominently issued in put into this game. He will be featured, and I think it will be a little slower. And as someone who loves the under in this one, I think you can really supplement the yield, the return on betting both of these attempts under.
Okay. I like the Mahomes one. I think Brady's going to have to throw the ball a ton. Even if it's raining, he's going to have to keep up with the Chiefs team. And also, I made a couple of bets based on the weather as well, but I do think it's overblown. Having grown up playing sports in Tampa, the rain is so inconsistent. It's not going to rain the entire time. It'll rain maybe a quarter of the time. Also, the weather forecast are showing that it'll stop raining by 1 p.m. and the game's at 6?
Yeah.
So
6:18 kickoff, I believe.
Yeah. So I think the weather is a little overblown here, which makes me kind of want to go back towards the over, because the number shifted when everyone was talking about the rain. I went down 1 or 1.5 points. But yeah, I do like the Mahomes under here, but the Brady under, I cannot get on board with. I think he's going to have to throw the ball a lot.
Cool. That's fair. And just to tell you where I come from on that, There's a nagging voice in my head that's telling me Leonard Fournette's going to win Super Bowl MVP.
Oh my God.
The Chiefs hate tackling. They have one of the least hard-nosed, linebacking cores in the NFL. I watch with Ethan, who you know from basketball, who was a former D1 safety, and all he talks about is how soft this Chiefs defense is. Leonard Fournette, I hate him, but I think he's having a big day now.
I could see that. That'd be such a funny end to the season if Leonard Fournette won MVP.
Yeah, I'm sprinkling it on all the long shots. Shaq Barrett, Leonard Fournette, and meanwhile, I'll have a massive amount on the Chiefs money line because I hate the 2020 Los Angeles Lakers, even when they are the 2021 Tampa Bay Bucs. Okay, so my last player prop. I mean, I could probably throw in Chris Godwin under receiving yards just because they're going to adjust to that. But I do think there's value in Mike Evans under 62.5 receiving yards, just because those are the kind of routes that Kansas City's pretty good at defending. Mm-hmm. I think that they're going to be better off kind of attacking Kansas City underneath. So I don't think a really vertical game is in their best interest. We saw that a little bit against Green Bay, but those were in situations where Mike Pettin was putting out defensive formations that ultimately got him fired. So I don't believe that Todd Bowles is going to put out the worst Steve Spagnuolo is going to put out those same formations. So I don't think this is a big Mike Evans day.
Yeah, I agree. I've got unders on a couple wide receivers too. Steve Spagnuolo, what a glow up, man. I'm going to take Chris Godwin, like you said, but I'm going to take his under receptions, under 5.5 receptions. There's too many weapons. Antonio Brown is back. Scotty Miller's more involved. Tyler Johnson even gets a couple catches. And Godwin has failed to record over 5 catches since week 12, which shocked me when I saw that. But coincidentally, that is the same week they played the Chiefs, and he had 9 catches against the Chiefs. So it's like, I don't know which way to go. But there's too many. That week, though, I believe Mike Evans was out. Maybe Antonio Brown was out. They weren't at full strength. So now that they have all their receivers and they're going to involve Gronk more, Brady will probably be involved. I like under 5.5.
Yeah, I like it. And I think if we do have just the casual bettors, they're going to be informed by that NFC Championship game where Godwin was among the best players on the field. Mm-hmm. So they'll be hammering that over. So I do think it is wise to go the other way in that particular instance.
Yeah, that being said, I think every time I've bet on a Godwin prop, I've gotten it wrong. So if you want to fade this one, feel free.
Yeah, and over the course of the year, is there a guy who's been more hard to predict his production than Chris Godwin? 2nd round fantasy pick, disappeared the first 4 weeks of the season.
Yeah.
Became an amazing underneath threat, and then was the best player in the NFC Championship game. Crazy.
Yeah. All right. I'll just make these quick. Chris Jones on the Chiefs, under 2.5 tackles.
Beautiful.
This dude's great. Like, Chris Jones is amazing, but he doesn't get a lot of tackles. He eats up double teams. He's a big distraction on the defensive line. Last time they played the Bucs, Jones had 0 tackles. I think the Bucs did a really good job of stopping him. In the last 4 games, he's combined for 5 total tackles. He's not a tackle guy. I don't know why he's at 2.5. I guess he's a pretty big name. But yeah, I'm loving under 2.5 tackles there. Darrell Williams, the Chiefs running back who nobody knows about. No, like, ordinary sports fan would know about. Over 28.5 rushing yards.
Ooh, that's great. I love that one. That's the best one. That's my favorite one any of us have put out yet.
Yeah, he's kind of become like the lead guy. He's had 13 carries in both the playoff games, turned those into 78 yards and 52 yards. And even though the Bucs rush defense is good, I mean, if he gets 12 to 13 carries, you can't expect him to get less than 28.5 rushing yards. He's a good player.
Yeah. Oh, no. We've got a decent amount that I might be investing with our scam producer, Scam Kotler, and he's telling me to put our entire bankroll on that pick right there. So congrats to you. I think you've made a convincing argument in that point. And I think this is the same, like, algebra as the Leonard Fournette, like why he's been so good, but he wasn't the top 5 pick. He wasn't the best player in the SEC, and he's not the name. So his line is about half of what Fournette's in. Amazing value in this one. I absolutely love it.
Cole Hardman to have a rush attempt.
Ooh.
Plus 123. I love it. Demarcus Robinson is not going to practice because of COVID list. Hardman's had a rush in both of the playoff games this year. Last week, his one rush turned into 50 yards. So I think they might try to mix up the running scheme a little bit to get past this Bucs front 7. So I love Mecole Hardman to have one rush attempt at plus money.
And I do have one more player prop here. Tom Brady over 0.5 rushing yards.
I saw that.
Plus 140. Too much at stake. We're not going to see the greatest QB sneaker this side of Cam Newton put one up for 1 yard. I think we will. We're not going to see him extend a play, put those aging legs out to use. I think we're going to see Brady roll out. And it's similar to why Josh Allen hit that rushing yardage over in that division, in that AFC Championship game. The stakes are too high. He's going to be running.
Yeah. Definitely Tom Brady and Josh Allen, very similar quarterbacks.
Yeah, I was taking your argument about the stage. It's really based on a quarterback sneak. We've all seen Brady do that sneak a million friggin' times.
Yeah. I was surprised the juice on the under is like minus 200.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I'm looking, I haven't been able to find this yet, but if I can find Brady over 0.5 rushing yards with Brady to score a rushing touchdown, I am hammering it. There's going to be a QB sneak in this game from Tom. I feel it.
The scary thing about picking over for non-rushing quarterbacks is that kneels count as rushing attempts. So if Brady scores a 1 yard touchdown and then they win the game and they get the ball at the end and he kneels it twice, he ends with -3 yards. What a heartbreaker.
I'm not going to say I did know that, but I didn't consider that as someone who thinks the Buccaneers are winning this game. Darn it all.
Maybe they'll win it. They'll win it on a last second Hail Mary.
Yeah,
so we won't kneel it.
Yeah, and then Mike Evans will go over on receiving yards.
Yeah.